And when she texted me that she was tired, I could only imagine because I was wondering how did she get off a flight from Paris, come right into the radio, do the radio show, then prepare for her screening of her new movie this weekend. And so I know that was just a lot. So I'm glad that she listened to her body and followed God, and she is getting some much needed rest. So we're asking God to touch her body, touch her mind, to rejuvenate her and give her the strength that she needs to continue to do the great work that she is doing. Listen, I'm excited today. You know what? This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me, and the world can't take it away. Because listen, if I waited on the world to give me some joy, I wouldn't have any. So I'm glad that I serve a God that looks beyond my faults and continues to see my needs. We got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking some hot topics. We got some resources, and of course, we're gonna send you back better than you came right here on Inspiration 1390. Hey, it's your main man Action Jackson, and the business spotlight of the week is Lorenzo's Frozen Pudding. Available in Snicker Strawberry, Real Banana, Hawaiian Pineapple. Yes, I do. I need to write you a list. Okay. You're right, I know. I just want to make sure. Because I can write it, but if you got it.
Attention motorists, get your new Buddy Bear yearly Buddy Pass for as low as $17
yep.
a month for the
tomorrow's guest is canceled, so don't make the No, it's on the doors that part. You sent it. But they just texted they can't come tomorrow. They're gonna reschedule.
Is there no guest for Thursday and Friday?
Not as of today, so hopefully before the end of the day it will be. I got a couple people that asked.
That's BuddyBearCarWash.com.
Dreaming of a new home or selling at a great price? L&S Development is your go-to. Expertise in real estate and mortgage loans, we make the process seamless and rewarding. No more hurdles in your property journey. Buying, selling, or refinancing, we've got your back. Dial area code 773-616-0906 and step into your property dreams with L&S Development. Area code 773-616-0906. L&S Development, making property dreams a reality.
Do you have dry skin, fine lines and wrinkles? Or do you just want to get or maintain your youthful glow? Then you need Vanguard Beauty. This Black-owned, woman-owned vegan beauty line has all the wants your skin could ever need. Envelop your skin in luxury with organic, botanically derived skincare and makeup that is also talc-free and cruelty-free. The foundation is weightless and feels like skin. The lipstick and eyebrows are so pigmented and come in a variety of gorgeous colors that there is sure to be something for everyone. Don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself and go to VGBstore.com. That's VGBstore.com. Vanguard Beauty. We don't just cover imperfections, we reveal the beauty in you.
We're in the Raw with Tamara Fair on the Brunch Bunch.
So, of course, I'm not Tamara Fair, but in the Raw, we've been talking about him. But, of course, he is the former president of the United States, so we got to keep up with what's going on. The judge presiding over Donald Trump's hush money case on Tuesday held the former president in criminal contempt. Now, for some reason, Donald Trump and criminal are kind of becoming synonymous. If you hear Trump, you hear criminal. Speaking of criminal, I see him on the TV screen in the studio. But he is being held in criminal contempt over a series of posts on Truth Social. Has anybody downloaded Truth Social? I've never even seen that. You know what? I think I may just download Truth Social so I can check out what's going on. You got to know, this is chess. So you kind of got to know what your enemies are doing. So we're going to check it out. But he had a series of posts on Truth Social that violated his gag order, barring any attacks on jurors and witnesses, and warned Trump he could be jailed for further violations. Judge Juan Merchant ruled Trump in contempt for 9 violations of his gag order with a fine of $1,000 for each instance. That's $9,000. Now, Trump could pay me $500 every time he want to post something, so I can tell him not to, and that'll save him from having to pay these type of bills. He was warned in the decision, and he said he would not tolerate further violations of the order, and said if necessary and appropriate under the circumstances, he would impose incarceration punishment on the former president. The judge explained that because the fines, which are limited by state law, were relatively little in comparison to Trump's wealth, they might be unlikely to deter the former president from abiding by the court's order. Merchant said that while he would prefer to impose commensurately larger fines, he instead had to consider, and I quote, whether in some instances jail may be a necessary punishment, end quote. The gag order prohibits the former president from making or directing others to make public statements about known or reasonably foreseeable witnesses concerning their potential participation in the investigation or in this criminal proceeding, and public statements about any prospective juror or any juror. Judge Merchant said Tuesday that his order was, and I quote, lawful and unambiguous, and end quote, and that Trump violated it with social media posts about witnesses and public comments about jurors. He ordered Trump to remove 7 other posts at issue from his Truth Social account and 2 other offending posts from his campaign website by 2:15 today, Tuesday. The judge also said in response to Trump's complaints about the comments of expected witnesses, Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels, have made outside of court, that he might consider modifying the gag order to remove them from its protections if he finds it necessary in the future. Cohen said in a statement in response to the judge's decision that the small fine, and I quote, is irrelevant. Judge Merchant's decision elucidates that this behavior will not be tolerated and that no one is above the law, end quote. End quote. Judge Merchant has indicated on April 23rd that he was not impressed by the arguments from the defense, telling one of Trump's attorneys that he was, and I quote, losing all credibility when he suggested that Trump was exercising caution to comply with the gag order. Prosecutors from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office accused Trump of violating the April 1st order at least 10 times since it went into effect. Now, you know what? I'm a little confused at I'm not confused, not the kind of confusing with President Donald J. Trump, right? But it's kind of like, man, this is a bold move. This brother is bold, right? And he don't care. But it's also like, man, this dude has no respect for law or rules or anything. And that's what makes him a dangerous person. But on the flip side, some may argue that what makes him a great leader. And I think one of the Trumpers in the studio, I ain't gonna say the name, is nodding their head yes. But I mean, because you can look at both sides. You can look at the glass half empty or the glass half full. But I will say that it does, when you have a person in power like that, that does not respect the laws that he's supposed to help govern, then we kind of got an issue. But because to keep breaking the rules and saying, I don't care about this gag order, I'm going to go online. But then he's tweeting about jurors and people. And we know the Trumpers. Is that what they call them? But if not, I like Trumpers. Are crazy, right? And so they love him so much. They are, listen, it's like a cult. And so if you tweeting about the jurors, and I'm hoping he's not saying any names, you're putting them in harm's way. And nobody is asking to be a juror, trust me. Nobody at the courthouse like, pick me, I want to do jury duty today. You're selected to do jury duty, and you're doing your civic service, and you don't want your life threatened because you were chosen to be a juror for the former president's case, of which this case is about him paying hush money to, of course, Stormy Daniels, and allegedly he never had any sexual relations with her. Sound like Bill Clinton, but nevertheless, we're gonna keep watching this story. I know producers in Hollywood, and after being with Tammy and all these directors and producers, now I done put on my producer thinking cap. I know all the Trump movies after this election are gonna be lit, man. I mean, there's so many different type of movies you can make off of just Trump himself right now. The Stormy Daniels situation. I got a couple of Law and Order episodes I could write about Donald Trump. It is just it is entertaining, but you know, in all seriousness, we just gotta continue to pray and hope justice is served. But I hope that we're taking something from this. My thought is the American judicial system that we know that is not created for us, and if you understand what I mean by us, but we have to understand how to use the system just like the president. And that's like, you know, he's getting great lawyers because anything can be won. And I'm gonna get this young man on the show. On my way up, I was sent a video from a young black man who represented himself in court down in Peoria, Illinois, and got off, won his murder trial by himself. Man, and I got to read more about this story, but it was that was interesting enough for me to be like, all right, I'm gonna have to talk to this brother because so many times we don't see that happen. But we're gonna continue to keep this train rolling. We got some great music for you, but before we don't want to count anyone out. Don't count me out. James Fortune right here on the Brunch Bunch. The volume not up. Now you look.
Hey, we already played. This is the second song that we played.
Oh, was it?
But I ain't want to like mess up your thing. So.
Oh no. Okay. So next time, and just so you know, Justin, if it's been played, scratch it out. Because that's why I asked, did you play the song I sent? So,
no,
right, you said you didn't. So, but I want to do that one after what's going on. So I should have asked, what was the second song?
I ain't said that song.
No, I just knew you didn't play my song, but I wanted after what's going on. I'm going to tie it in. And look, I was gonna go straight to winning, but I'm like, I need to let Wynona hear winning.
Okay, that's all right. That's what I was going to
Tina, I'm trying to tell you, but Tina, what's going on? Becca Fry, how are you? It is a beautiful day, and I wish you a beautiful one as well. I mean, you know what?
Every time they put out a new lawsuit and he win, bro, he get more support. Y'all really helping him.
Yeah, definitely. You ain't lying about that.
Like, look, Trump on the news every day. Like, every day. Y'all want to win, bro. I don't stop
Put it in that group chat I added you to. Did you in there, right? Yeah. You got that message this morning? Okay.
Wait, no.
I sent I found the group chat from Wynona, and
let me see. I saved one.
Let me see. Oh, see, and I named one. Let me see. I put win-win team to make sure justice is in the loop. So this not you? You know what it is? Okay.
This is the one I had.
Type.
Let me see the.
Type in the microphone. Because that has, I know, Rolanda. I want to make sure everybody getting it.
That's the link.
Link, and when I got questions about like guests and stuff.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, what's going on? Actually, do this real quick. Put you in my phone. DJ B-Lo, I can't believe you missed your girlfriend movie premiere. You was there? Oh, okay. You left after the movie then. Okay.
What theater were you
8.
in? I was in 8. I didn't see you.
No, I was lying. I was in 3. I came in 8.
Tammy walked into 8 earlier. I thought she saw me. You were dead center, but
I was in there with Tammy. I walked Tammy in there.
She waved, and we went back, but everybody was waving. So like, we waved. She waved. That's crazy. She's a celebrity.
Why you didn't stay for the meet and greet?
Because my girlfriend wanted to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Women, I tell you.
Hey, the musician main man Action Jackson. Are you searching for a life-changing word? Look no further than Corby Bush Ministries. Tune in every Saturday at 6
Ronnie
time to the Word Network, where Corby Bush Ministry brings you powerful messages that will touch your heart and transform your life. Corby Bush Ministries is dedicated to spreading the teachings of love, faith, and empowerment. Give them a call, 214-371-8768, to connect directly with their ministry.
Come on, and we got how many commercials we got left? Move them down. Due to what's going on.
Tune in this Saturday.
I'm doing a PSA. Yep, Justice record this.
Where's the action, Jackson?
I'll tell you what's going on.
So what's going on is I saw a quote, and we're living in a time on social media where we got a lot of infographics and quotes and the memes, and I saw one and I wanted to read it, and it said, "You all sit at home mad at people because they haven't reached out to you. Meanwhile, their whole life is in shambles. All you know is when you look at their page, they," and I quote, "look fine. So now you have an attitude. Here's a friendly reminder. Life isn't just happening to you, beloved. You never know what's going on behind a person's smile. We could all use some grace." And I felt that so deep in my spirit that I decided to use it as an opportunity to put out a PSA for everyone under the sound of my voice. Please do not allow my smile to fool you. The reason that I can smile every day is because the joy of the Lord is my strength. Now, on social media, I don't always share every single thing that happens in our life. Now, with MJ, I share some of his behind the scenes, and I share some of Valencia's. But of course, MJ is my son, so I can choose to share what I want about him. Valencia is a grown woman and her own person, so I have to have permission to share her story. So sometimes she may not want things shared. But on yesterday, I almost flipped it. And I snapped on a couple of people that are near and dear to me, and I didn't mean to, and I had to explain to them that if I'm not answering the phone, well, everybody know I'm not going to answer the phone sometimes anyway. But some days I'm not answering the phone because I am going through a life crisis. And I want you to just give me a little bit of grace, right? And one of the things that we have to learn as human beings is to ask people, how are you doing? The strongest people in your lives may be experiencing some of the worst seasons that they've ever been through, but because they're strong, you don't know it. So every once in a while, just say, "Hey, how are you doing?" Because that means a lot. Somebody asked me that on the streets that wasn't even a friend of mine. They just was like, "Man, how are you doing?" And you know what? A tear came down my face because I hadn't been asked that by anybody around me in so long that it was like, I'm doing. So just so you know, yesterday, and I want you to continue to pray for Valencia, I was on my way to the radio and Valencia fainted. And it was one of the scariest moments of ever. I heard a thump and I went in to check on her. She was on the floor and she began to cry. And I had to end my whole day, right? I just couldn't do anything. I had to be there for Valencia and Maddox. And I was getting so many texts and so many people were upset because I wasn't answering. But nobody in that moment said, "Is everything okay?" And it's like, just give me a moment. I'm dealing. Saturday, the same thing happened. I was preparing to go and speak at Wynona's great event, and we had some challenges, and we made it through the challenges, and we were able to celebrate MJ's birthday. But at the end of that party, I had to go home. So people see, I'm at Tamara's movie screen and I'm here, but they don't see the 12 or 24 hours when I'm at home and we cannot move, or MJ is having issues with his IV line, or Valencia just doesn't have the energy. But she is one of the strongest women that I know, because to deal with chemo, cancer, and 2 kids under 2 years old is a testament to her strength. But I have to keep reminding her she does not have to be that strong. Relax, because we need you here. And for the believers, I hear you, Holy Ghost. I want to leave you with this as I end this PSA. We have to understand that we have to get rest now, or we'll be resting in peace sooner than later. Okay. So I'm praying for you all. I want you to continue to pray for me. Pray that God continues to give us strength, grace for this journey. But I know, like the old hymn, I've decided to go with Jesus. The road may be rough and the going may get tough, but I've made up in my mind that as for me and my house, we're going to serve and trust in the Lord. Listen, all things are working for our good. Up next is Community Chatter with Wynona Redmond. But I want to dedicate this song to all of you who are going through something. Just know, choose Jesus, and it'll all be all right. I had to keep the glasses on, but then I didn't want to.
You said a word there, right there. No, you're trying to get me to start crying.
I'm like, Jesus, would y'all leave me alone? And I get it. People are so used to being able to reach you, but I'm like, I want you to remember that we got a lot of things going on outside of just working in community and all of that. I didn't choose this, but I thank God he gives me the strength to be, like Wynona just honored this weekend, a caretaker and the help, because trust me, yesterday I had a full agenda, but I was okay with wiping that agenda off of the books because I needed to be with my family.
I know that's scary when that happens.
Yeah.
Family before. This past New Year's Eve, we were all celebrating, and next thing you know, one of my cousin's girlfriends had a seizure right there.
And that is so scary, especially when you can't help them, and it's nothing. And she kept saying, I'm okay. I'm like, you're not okay. Let me get you in the bed. But to see her in that weak moment just was like, all right, God. And I'm like, Tammy, thank God for team, though. I was able to text Tammy and say, look, I was going to still try to come, too. I'm like, I'm going to be late. And she like, no, you need to. And I'm like, I know that's originally what I wanted, but I didn't want to leave you last minute hanging.
So you're going to be not here. That's what you're going to do.
Right, that's right. And I'm like, Valencia, just get in the bed. Now, Maddox gave me a run for my money. He 8 months and he don't want to sit still. So, look, I thought I was going to be able to pull the laptop out, hold the baby, and no. He was like, it's me and you, buddy. But I thank God for all of our support in our village. We got a great village. All right, let's fade this out, do the win-win intro, and rock it. Push him back. We'll take a mid-segment break. And Wynona, we'll talk about it on the air. I saw pictures.
She put the wrong date on my thing. This is Saturday, May 4th, not Sunday, May 5th.
Hold on, Wynona, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi there, it's Wynona Redmond, and it's time for Community Chatter, brought to you by Win-Win Communications.
I am always so honored to introduce and welcome back Brunch Buncher, a friend of the show, the CEO of Win-Win Communications, because each and every Tuesday Wynona brings us a great and amazing guest. And you know what? I'm like Jesse Jackson. Wynona is somebody, I got a text last night about Wynona. I'm like, okay, I'm going to connect when I can. But we are so happy to have Wynona back. Woo, 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 woo.
You didn't started the show with me ready to cry
Oh.
with you giving that testimony. But Marcel, what you just shared is so important.
Mm.
The this As we get ready to go into May and Mental Health Month, every single day is Mental Health Day.
Yes.
And when we talk about mind, body, and soul, the when you're a caregiver, that is job first.
Yep.
And what you've been through, you don't look like what you've been through. When people
Thank
see your
God.
social media posts, they don't see all that you've been through. And when you have just stepped up as a fine young man, I still say the youngest entrepreneur I know, but you just stepped into, being the father, being that mate, being that supporter. And people forget you didn't answer your phone always
Right.
anyway.
Right.
But knowing all the pressure that you're under, we understand. We started Dear Me Care Circle, and if folks go to dearmecarecircle.org, I was overwhelmed when my mother, you look up and you're in the middle of it. Before she died and declared her independence July 4th last year of 2023, we had finally got round the clock 7 days, 24-hour care for her. But in those early stages, finding enough people to help and cover, and you think that folks will step up that don't, and but to have that caregiving piece.
Yeah.
The Dear Me Care Circle is really for those family caregivers who are professionals. Hermine Hartman took care of her mother at home till she was 101. Cheryl Grace and her siblings, and her mother. Nate Rogers from Channel 32 had a funeral. He wasn't able to be on the panel, but he's doing stories on caregiving. His mother, he's been a caregiver for his mom for 20 years, since he was a senior in college.
Wow.
So we had you on the panel to talk about exactly what you called in to say. We have had you join us to talk about the fact that you're caregiving for young babies, and Valencia.
Yeah.
So we just in Sandy Land.
I said a caretaker crisis. When I first got it, I said, oh, I think Wynona would understand. I said, of all days, but this is why she's doing this event. I said, I'm having a caretaker crisis. And I don't think, and I was still trying to press through and make it. But I'm like, okay, God, I just got to get through this. But I want to say before we hop in, I must give Wynona kudos for her inaugural pre-Mother's Day caretaker celebration. Woo, 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 for the Dear Me Care Circle.
It was, it was heartfelt, and it was scratching the surface. So it was scratching the surface because, but it really was to try and talk about caregivers needing care. So
you had a packed room. You had some great. I saw the city treasurer in the room.
Well, the city treasurer actually was there accepting something on behalf of her husband, Alderman Jason C. Irvin. My mother passed July 4th, and every time I got ready to do thank you cards, I started boohooing. And every time we got ready, but there was about 5 or 6 people that I designated official superheroes for Lucy Redmond Wright. Wow. And Alderman Jason Irvin. My mom lives in that ward. And when it came time for ambulances, and when it came time for services, he stepped up. And across the year and a half that I cared for my mother, different people like Melissa, who lost her mom, will say, "You'll get through it. It's gonna be this." But he stepped up as her alderman, and she got resources and things that made him an official superhero.
Yes, so I love it.
The theme for Saturday was "Love Bears All Things." Yes. Believes all things, survives all things. So there is so many of us, And so with that said, there were lots of folks that didn't make it because they were somewhere else. But Senator Kimberly Lightford, she is a busy
Yeah.
majority leader, but she cares for her mom.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously cares for her mom. And Camille Lilly, Representative Camille Lilly, she cared for her dad who passed. She's caring for her mom. These are busy professionals and run, and you don't stop. So then they had caregivers that helped them. So we had your caregiver who was in the middle of the crisis.
She was in the crisis with me.
I'm like, so it was a twofold event. The professionals on the panel talking about lessons learned, but we also are gonna, just like when you give out Apple Awards for good teachers, we're gonna start, really recognizing the good caregivers, the good programs, the good facilities. We also going to have the legal component to look at how do we make sure we wage the good attack and report folks.
Yeah.
But we also are going to look at what Representative Camille Lilly is talking about, looking at the policies to make sure that we get the benefits.
Yeah.
And so this is creating a brand new community
that's
of support.
needed.
And it's just so important to really, I love what you say, you turn that pain into purpose.
Right. Let me introduce you.
Yeah.
Let me introduce you. So I just started going right in, but dearmecarecircle.org, people can go and they can tell that I'm a caregiver, of my family member, or I've got a good caregiver. We want people to tell their stories and capture them. But our guest today is Rashonda. Rashonda Hall is a longtime friend, mentee, and she's been the matriarch of her family now. She cared for her mom. She's caring for her grandparents. But I wanted to welcome Rashonda because it's also Small Business Week. And as Win-Win celebrates 12 years, we are not anything if we're not helping support other businesses. So Rashonda has created her own business, Social Pearl. She's not really available because she has enough clients. She's Win-Win, a very strong strategic partner. But lots of things going on in the city of Chicago. This year, we not only have the Democratic National Convention coming, but Rashonda also is a member of the National Association of Black Journalists Board. Dorothy Tucker is immediate past president. You got Kathy Cheney and some of our other Chicago members on the national board. They just convened. They're preparing for the National Association of Black Journalists conference. So welcome, Rashonda.
Welcome.
Rashonda can talk about NABJ. She can talk about being a small business, a very focused small business. Because I was like, you can help me with PR. She was like, no, I'm just focused on social media. But welcome, Rashonda.
No,
but you also can start with chiming in on the Dear Me Care Circle because you're a caregiver. Yeah. With her busy schedule and with her babies and her fiance and everything else, she still is a matriarch caregiver. So
no, it's so important. You can't do it without the people around you. So we are, my aunts, my uncles, everyone really chips in to make sure that my parents are provided for, my grandparents are provided for. Wynona mentioned I also care for my mother. At the time, I didn't know how God was moving and what he was doing. But I had been laid off from my job, but little did I know is that I would need to spend the next 7 months bedside with my mom. Yeah. And I got that 7 months. Because I wasn't working, but at the same time I was launching my business. So I was launching a business and caring for her bedside at the hospital, overnights, during the day, come home, send the kids to school. It's the story of so many caregivers. So I'm not unique in that fashion, but that the people around me could understand and that I could share my experience with others. I cannot talk enough about how many times I've talked to friends and family, even Wynona when she was going through things. I was like, hey, look for this. Because when my mom started doing this, that we found out this was an issue, and being able to share that, being able to do that, kind of have that community and that lived experience that I could share, it was really, really important, and to learn from others who did the same for me. So I'm super excited about the Dear Me Care Circle,
me too.
About that community, and I definitely want to encourage people to go to the website and learn more. check them out on social, join the community, just learn from each other.
Yep.
If you're going through something and you have a question, if something doesn't seem right, ask. If you're looking for a good caregiver, ask. If you are, if you are looking for resources, we're going to be really, trying to help Wynona put more and more of those resources available to caregivers in that group on the website. And, there's no shortage of people who want to give back in this area, because we're all either, we all hope to either be in a position where we have to care for someone, or someone's going to have to care for us.
And having those resources are important, but vetted resources.
Vetted
because
resources.
Just on Google, you may not get the best. And I'm glad I was talking to this brother about Wynona and her organization, Dear Me Care Circle, Larry Wilkes, who owns Wilkes Wellness, and they're a home doctor. So, when we're caring for people and it's hard to get them to the hospital, now he'll send doctors to the house to do their doctor's appointment in the house. What's so funny about being a caregiver, you're giving care for somebody or other people, and then sometimes we have to remember that the caregiver needs some help. And so, with that being said, I do want to say we're praying for Larry Wilkes. He texted me his oldest daughter passed away yesterday.
Wow.
And I'm like, I felt my heart was breaking for him, because I know how much he's out caring for everybody else, and now he needs the care. So, Dear Me Care Circle is here at the right time. Right. And Wynona, that was nobody but God who gave you this vision.
But I had to keep busy, because to prepare for the first Mother's Day without my mom is just unbelievable.
Mm.
And we were that's going to be an annual event. We just started DearMeCareCircle.org. I'm still collecting donations and support, because we celebrated caregivers. We started this event. It's going to be a 2-day event next year, where we'll do a Friday and a Saturday. So caregivers, the family caregivers, can have a day where they can be poured into with jewelry making and other activities. And so we will still have the celebrate and award caregivers.
So a mini
brunch.
retreat here, a local retreat. That's nice.
But with that said, we also are preparing to do seminars for education and different pieces. So this Saturday, May 4th, at 10 a.m., we're going to have Dr. Portia Lockett, who is she's over all of the grief counselors in Detroit health system. Mm-mm. But she's an author. She's a speaker all over, but she's a grief therapist. And so we're going to have that I'll Always Love My Mama webinar for folks to join and that 10 a.m. hour, and you have an expert, but just to share how to celebrate your mom. And those of us that are Christian, we know that this is not the end, and we can celebrate our moms in heaven, and we, live this life to see them again, but to continue their legacy. So, instead of just making it a dark day, we want to celebrate the light. And so there will be that. And so there will be different pieces for DearMeCareCircle.org. We're going to look at the men, June and the men, and Father's Day, and the caretakers of men, and the men caretaking for their loved ones. But with all of that said, this is Mental Health Month. So we are going to have that grief therapist and those different resources available. And
what I love about Wynona, and everybody chiming in on Facebook saying Wynona does bring the best guests and topics. Wynona taught me how to identify what the month is and make sure I'm focused on, because next we're doing some mental health and entrepreneur events. But I love this I'll Always Love My Mama webinar, and I love that platform, because people who have lost their mothers, and I thank God, I'm like, my mother's still here, but for those who have lost their moms, they don't know how, and grandma.
And and there's so many of us, and we carry their legacy.
Absolutely.
So Rashonda knows. I'm also going to start a Your Mama podcast, where I'll sit down and talk with folks. I was talking to our former mayor Lori Lightfoot. She and I were talking about how her mom, went down kind of fast, and so I was like, you got to be my guest to talk about your mama. She was like, I'm there. So we will be launching Your Mama podcast before May is over, and just having conversations with everybody because your mother then gave you advice about cooking, about relationships, about parenting, and and Lucy Redmond Wright was had so many stories. I'm gonna have a whole series talking about your mama. But with this, but before we can't let the show go, so it's Mental Health Month.
Yes.
It is Mother's Day coming and celebrating mothers. It is caregivers. I mean, we always want to have that community resources to help, celebrate, to fight when needed, but to come together, and so all of the stories, like what Rashonda just said about the 7 months. My sister, Rochelle Simpson, always said, who would have known that she stayed home at the time that my mother needed her, and my grandmother needed her when she was in transition from jobs years ago. So, Rashonda, the National Association of Black Journalists, everybody knows that I am working with Real Times Media, Diana Lewis, and Men of Excellence is coming up June 14th, and the announcement just went out. But I'm working as the editor for the next edition of Who's Who in Black Chicago, coming out this October, and we got some exciting news. So we're gonna be making news there. But the NABJ conference. Before we run out of time, Rashonda, tell your role.
Yeah.
And then because we're gonna have different components.
Super exciting.
But come on, tell them about NABJ and the National Association of Black Journalists Conference.
Yeah, that conference is coming up at the end of July. So there's always no city like summertime, like summertime shy. Mm-hmm. So within a short time frame, you're going to have the National Association of Black Journalists here. You're also going to have the DNC convention that comes like 2 weeks after that. But during NABJ and Lollapalooza, all happening at the same
Black
time.
Women's Expo.
And Black Women's Expo, all happening in short order at the end of July. But NABJ is going to be the convening of what we are calling the Chicago chapter is working diligently to make this the most successful conference NABJ.
That Brandon Johnson and Panisha, I call them. I was like the hardest leaders, working couple.
Yeah, they are.
And Kathy Cheney.
Yes. So, we've got a very dedicated.
And Carrie Walker and all of these Chicago folks. They're going to show them how to do it.
Yes, and there is a ton of opportunity for local brands to make sure that and companies and organizations to make sure that they are working with the journalism organizations to make sure that when people come to town, they know about them. So if you have an eatery or you do hair, you do nails, you have a transportation service, anything like that, and you want people who are coming to town to know about your organization, you can reach out to NABJ Chicago. That's the NABJ Chicago across all social media platforms, or you can reach out to me, Rashonda Hall, across all social media platforms.
Or Win-Win.
Or Win-Win Communications.
We're sponsored.
Absolutely. As our sponsor, and Win-Win is a wonderful sponsor. We're appreciative of them. To find out about how you can get involved, they're going to be doing some great things to fund scholarships.
I was going to say locally. A scholarship.
Yeah, they're looking to fund scholarships for folks studying planning to study the field of communications, and also for folks who are just starting in the industry. Journalism can be sexy, but it also often doesn't pay well in the very beginning. So, so they do stipends and grants to help people early in their career as well. And so the events that they're going to be doing surrounding the conference that are going to be partially open to the public will include a sneaker ball, because you cannot come to Chicago, home of Jordan, and not have a sneaker ball.
Right.
And they're going to be also doing some historic bus tours on Saturday during the convention to show people around. And Win-Win is an amazing sponsor for us for that. We're super excited.
We're going to do the Soul tour on the bus.
Okay, I like it. I like it.
Like, that movie
like Soul Plane. The Soul Bus.
There's so much to see in Chicago. We want to make sure that people who are coming in take advantage of that. Ida B. Wells, home Barack Obama, Ebony and Jet. The list goes on and on about the important kind of points of interest for Black media in the area. So it's just going to be a really great time. I encourage people to learn more about it. If you have someone who's studying communications, to encourage them to come out. Student, even young students, like we got True Star Magazine. I think we hope they'll have a place there too. So we're excited about it and looking forward to telling people more.
I
Yeah,
love
and
it.
this is the conference where I say you look at some of the networks and you see a blackout because
Yeah.
all of the beautiful people, the anchors and everybody come, the presidential candidates, they all come through.
I heard Tamara
NABJ.
Hall talking about NABJ.
Yeah, she's
Yes.
Roland Martin, all of them,
Yeah.
they all come through because they give credit. This is a professional organization where the founders still come.
Yeah.
And so you have multiple generations.
Absolutely.
And
We're on the road to 50. We'll celebrate 50 years next year, but this is the road to 50. So we're doing it big in Chicago. You
got the founders like
Yeah.
Vernon Jarrett that were
Mm.
here, and so many. That
So
have
who
been here.
can qualify to be a member of NABJ?
So really, NABJ is open to anyone. So they have members or journalists, but if you're a non-journalist and you share interests, you could be an associate member or what they call a media-related member. So like PR folks and things like that. Even people who are lawyers, who are people who work at nonprofits, who work in comms, they can be a member of NABJ. And sometimes it's just good to come out and learn what journalists are looking for when they're producing content and stories, right? If you want to get I always say you can learn from other people about how to get to journalists, or you could actually talk to journalists and learn how to get to journalists.
Yeah.
So why don't you come to the conference and figure out how to do it?
Wow. How can they register?
You can go to nabj.org and register. Early bird or the second stage of registration fees will go until June 1st. And there's a lot to learn. I mean, there's so many opportunities to learn, so many different tracks, health, wellness, financial business.
And financial business, JP Morgan Chase. This is the home of Chase, and they're the opening sponsor, so they know how to throw a party. Opening party, July 31st through August 4th. The gospel brunch is one of the my favorites
yeah, that's
too.
Gonna be that's back this year, and I'm not breaking any news because they've shared this, but it's being produced by Jackie Reed. It's going to be amazing. It's gonna be that Sunday, so yeah.
All right, listen, I'm looking forward to it. I know I'm with the plug thug, Wynona. I'm about to walk in with her, but you know what, believers, I love what Rashonda said about, because I hear so many people paying so many people to try to get them media, and they don't understand, first of all, service-based businesses. Just because you pay somebody a retainer, they can't guarantee you're going to get press. But maybe you should be in the room to learn what stories they're looking for so you can help the professional helping you and say, all right, I talked to this news reporter at this network and told me they're always looking for this type of story. So call them versus just shooting from the hip, hoping that you get booked somewhere,
Right. And I didn't want to leave this show without acknowledging Renita Dumas. She is, as we talk about Small Business Week, she was a graduate student at my alma mater, Loyola University. She was in Rambler Productions, but she's part of our team. So being a small business, I want to make sure we grow our people and we support our businesses. So that's what it's about.
I love it, Renita Dumas. I love that. Shout out to Ronnie, who is with us each and every Tuesday, supporting
photos, videos, and just up and coming. She's gonna be at the NABJ.
Well, listen, Wynona, you never cease to amaze us, believers. We're out of time, but we are never out of content. And I love this big clock on the wall. I just realized. Shout out to Jarrell for putting the time on the wall, because now I can take all 20 of my seconds. Leave no time unturned. But no, believers, we encourage you to keep Love 24 alive. Tell someone that you don't know that you love them. Call somebody and ask them how they're doing. Up next, AC Green. After that, Pastor DeAndre Patterson with the afternoon drive. We get it done all night long, right here on Inspiration 1390. Wait a minute. I saw that clock earlier, right? But I didn't see it. And then as I'm like, we looking at time, you tapping your phone, I'm looking at mine, I'm like, wait a minute, that clock is counting us down. I love it. Thank you, Darrell. We needed that. Oh, man. You know what? That's going to help with segments and everything. Listen, Jarrell just made my day. Make sure you go to dearmecarecircle.org. Nominate, support your caregivers. You never know what Wynona is going to have in store for caregivers. And so just start sending names and sharing stories, because I can see Wynona starting a grant for caregivers, giving away scholarships. She gonna be
collecting grants and then giving
and collecting money and blessing them. She gonna be recording the Dear Me Care Circle podcast at our new content studio. Listen, we own and popping. See you all tomorrow.